Before I start the video, I just want to take a moment to apologize for not uploading. I think it's been over a month since I last uploaded my Minecraft video, which didn't really do too well, unfortunately, because that was one of my best videos on my channel yet. Well, anyway, let's jump into the actual topic of today's video, Vampire Hunters, a game that's absorbed the last 2 weeks of my life. So what is Vampire Hunters? Well, if you've never heard of it before, Vampire Hunters is a action roguelike bullet hell game, but it's an FPS. The best comparison I can think of for the game is, ironically, Vampire Survivors, which was developed by a different studio. In Vampire Hunters, there are different maps you unlock as you play through the game. Each map contains multiple enemy spawn points and challenges players to survive 30 minutes of wave-based combat before unlocking the final objective, such as sealing the spawn points or gathering key items. And bosses will emerge at regular intervals, each time increasing how many bosses spawn as well as increasing the difficulty that ultimately leads to an overwhelming swarm of enemies, making visibility nearly impossible. Defeating monsters and gathering their souls grants experience, allowing you to level up in classic roguelike fashion. With each level, you select from a randomized set of weapons, upgrades, and passive buffs to enhance your build. You can equip up to 6 primary weapons, 2 secondary weapons, and 2 familiars, gradually filling your screen with an arsenal of stacked firepower. Vampire Hunter's arsenal of weapons ranges from the practical to the outright bizarre. Alongside standard SMGs and machine guns, you'll find saw launchers, garlic launchers, acid spewing flowers, guns that fire pixies, flamethrowers, ice throwers, light blasters, and even a full-blown pirate cannon. Every weapon can be upgraded not just to boost stats, but also to gain a unique secondary trait at level 5. Each gun undergoes a full transformation. The acid flower spawns turrets upon kills, and the flamethrower starts launching fireballs, and so on. While new abilities cap at level 5, weapons can still be further enhanced for stat boost, though the benefits become less significant over time. While guns can be fired manually, a lot of people feel that this ruins the appeal of the game, and while I don't entirely agree, thankfully it is optional, and the passive firing mode works seamlessly. Once an enemy enters your character's sights, they'll automatically open fire. Each weapon has its own ammo count and reload time, so while some of your weapons reload, the others continue mowing down the monsters. 2 secondary slots are dedicated to unconventional tools that function on traditional cooldown. These range from melee style weapons to non-combat gear like a shield generator. Unlike primary weapons, secondary weapons vary wildly in effectiveness. Some feel almost useless while others are extremely overpowered. A short-range stake, for example, pales in comparison to the absurd DPS of the living chainsaw or the devastating sunbeam. Oh, and you can stack weapon choices, so if you're lucky enough to be offered 2 living chainsaws in a single run, grab them. The results are glorious, and they absolutely carried me through the entire game. A pair of familiars complete your loadout, offering the most diverse selection of abilities. The Lucky Cat grants random buffs every 30 seconds, while the Frog, Rat, and Meteor function as extra secondary weapons. My personal favorite is the Rat. It's great for keeping the hordes of monsters away. Once again, some familiars are vastly less effective than the others. This imbalance is partly due to the auto-fire system. While auto-fire works beautifully for primary weapons, it struggles with more situational gear. It activates the moment an enemy enters your sights with no consideration for range or optimal timing. As a result, something like the Frog, designed to leap forward and unleash area poison damage, barely shines in passive mode since it doesn't wait for a dense enough cluster of enemies. That melee stake attack I mentioned, practically useless, as it triggers long before enemies are close enough to land a hit. Fortunately, the settings menu allows you to toggle autofire separately for primary and secondary weapons. Keeping primary attacks automatic while manually activating secondaries is a solid compromise, preventing certain weapons from feeling like wasted slots. Familiars, however, aren't so lucky. They activate on their own no matter what. Regardless of your settings, there are still active commands in the forms of skills and ultimate abilities, known as blood abilities. Skills operate on a cooldown while blood abilities charge up through enemy kills and damage taken, becoming usable once the blood meter is full. By default, this triggers a devastating rapid fire mode, though each character can unlock their own unique version. Vampire Hunters offers 6 unique characters, each with their own specialized skills. The starting character pairs his dodge ability with a lethal lunging strike, while the Paladin, for example, wields a AoE stomp and a blood rain ability, that damages both enemies and restores health. Thanks to their distinct skill sets and weapon preferences that encourages different playstyles, every character feels genuinely unique. Throughout a run, you'll collect various currencies, each used for various upgrades. Every character has a unique skill tree packed with stat boosts, skill enhancements, and equipable artifacts, and additionally, a set of universal upgrades that provide benefits that apply to all characters. Most stages are well paced, beating slow before unleashing overwhelming waves of enemies, and on some of the maps, the frame rate often tanks during the final minutes of a run, much like in Vampire Survivors. Boss encounters highlight some of Vampire Hunter's most inventive ideas. While many are standard aggressive brutes that charge straight at you, others take a more indirect approach, or aren't even outright hostile. You'll face summoners like a wizard who scatters AoE spells at random, or a mischievous imp that plants totems to buff enemies. And some bosses don't even step onto the battlefield, instead looming behind the map's borders, either lobbing fire or flooding the arena with really annoying minions. There's also bosses like the Kappa Egg that starts with a half full but regenerating health bar, doing its best to evade you until it reaches 100%, at which point it hatches into the formidable King Kappa. Then there's Slammy, a muck-like menace whose only goal is to leave a trail of slime wherever it moves. It may not attack directly, but it's a high priority target since the slime never disappears and can spread dangerously far if left unchecked. But you can also unlock a relic to turn the slime into a speed boost as well. But now for my favorite part of the game, the constellations. Constellations are unlocked by completing achievements. Not every achievement awards constellations though. They also award new guns, artifacts, and characters. Well, anyway, constellations. They basically change the rules of the run. Some will increase the speed 2x, or have a 1% chance to spawn meteors when killing monsters, or even flip your entire screen upside down. And some of these, depending on whether they increase or decrease the difficulty of the run, add or subtract a certain percent of score earned. There's also the classic mode, which is a completely separate part of the game with its own achievements and upgrades. It's pretty similar, except you play along a linear path that leads you to a final boss that you need to kill to win. It's still pretty fun, I just prefer the survivor mode more. So to conclude this video, I think Vampire Hunters is really fun, and it's a great game for achievement hunting if that's your thing. There's like 200 of them, and I didn't even get half. It's definitely worth checking out, and it has a lot of replayability for only $15, and it's actually on sale for $10 as I'm making this video. Well anyway, I hope you guys have all enjoyed today's video. If you have, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Also, make sure to use code GOLDEN at checkout for rogueenergy.com. I'll leave the link in the description. Anyways, I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.